This is Mel Allen. Coming up on This Week in Baseball, the Chicago Cubs blend muscle with hustle and keep up the chase in the National League East race. Memories of Satchel Paige.
Babe Ruth saved Major League Baseball after the Black Sox scandal. Satchel Paige was the savior of Negro baseball. He was the franchise.
Dave Dravecky finds courage and resolve after cancer surgery. And highlighting pennant contenders all next on This Week in Baseball. The Baltimore Orioles have done a complete about-face. In a painful reminder of last year's collapse, they've dropped 13 out of 15 and lost 5.5 games off their first-place lead. Even Fruit Loops have lost their magical powers on Mickey Tettleton. Owner of 22 homers, Mickey's only hit 1 in the last month. Worst of all, the defense has been topsy-turvy. After just 41 errors in the first half of the season, the Orioles made 21 in 22 games. It may all be a nightmare, but they do figure to snap out of it.
The one word that is overlooked is patience. You must have patience with a young ball club to turn itself around and go out and play the ball games that you're capable of playing.
The Red Sox took haste to get the birds while they were cold. Ellis Burks returned to duty, and in his first game back, he did end the Orioles.
Hammers it fair past third, down into the left field corner. 1 run scores. The Red Sox lead it 4-3 on a double by Ellis Burks.
In helping to sweep a doubleheader, Nick Kosowski raised his team-high home run total to 18.
Long drive, left center field. It is out of here. Home run, Kosowski.
Taking 3 out of 4 from Baltimore, the Red Sox pulled within 2 games of first.
The game of the week, they mentioned National League East, they mentioned Montreal, the Cardinals, and New York. 2 of those teams are behind us. And they don't mention the Cubs, which is outstanding, so no one knows we're there.
There he goes. Looking high fly ball. It's going to drop, baby. Great catch by Benson. Try for the double. Hagen, top to him. Top to him. Top to him. Holy cow, what a ball game. What a victory.
Not even Wrigley diehards thought the Cubs would be in the race come August, but Don Zimmer has them making all the right moves.
First of all, I'm proud of these guys because I've asked them to do a lot of things. We just can't sit back and wait for somebody to hit 2- and 3-run homers all the time because, especially early in the season, we couldn't do that in Wrigley Field because the wind was blowing in a gale, and we had to manufacture runs. And I've asked guys that probably never had to push bunt before, or drag a ball, or even suicide squeeze. And I got to be proud of the way these guys have executed up to this point.
Jerome Walton has the skipper beaming. Hitting near 300, he's made fast tracks in his rookie year.
I was down in Double-A, and I was just down there with the guys having fun, and didn't ever think I'd be up here this year. But after they made the trades and things during the winter, and I heard about it, and I felt like I had a chance if they give me an opportunity to go to camp.
If Walton could play on our club and leave in Arizona, that was going to be a big plus for us. And sure enough, he come in and played well enough that I don't think he left any doubt in anybody's mind that he could handle the opening day for us.
Dwight Smith is another dazzling rookie. Since called up in May, he's hit .340 and fit right in with the new-look offense, which plays baseball the old-fashioned way.
Zimmer always wanting to squeeze, wanting to push the ball, because we didn't have the power that a lot of ball clubs have, so we have to use it with the speed, kind of like the '85 Cardinals did. And speed wins. You know, speed could cause a lot of problems when you're out there and you're working real hard, and you think about this man stealing the base, and you give your power hitters fastball, and that's the best pitch to hit. And, you know, when you get those type of things working for you, then you're going to win a lot of ball games, and Don Zimmer makes you stay on your toes, believe me.
It would just be one of the greatest things that ever happened to me in baseball if this club that we have right here could be fighting for the division title in late September.
For now, 7 out of 10, and coming on. Meanwhile, in the West, the onrushing Astros are also a surprise, and now the only team close to catching the Giants.
I feel the team's playing real well right now. You know, we're making things happen, taking advantage of other teams' mistakes. We're hitting and running and manufacturing runs, and that's what we're going to have to do to stay in contention and hopefully be there in September and catch the Giants.
Craig Biggio is practicing what he preaches. In a most unusual move, the Astros catcher was switched to the leadoff spot, and in his first game, he showed why.
Slow roller, Uribe in. Gets rid of it gracefully, safe at first. Now, how many catchers would have had a chance to beat that ball out?
From there, uncatcher-like base running when Biggio promptly stole second, moved to third, and then came home on a sacrifice fly. Textbook stuff for a leadoff hitter.
He can walk home from there, 1-0 Astros.
That's not the only move that's paid off. The Astros brought up power hitter Eric Anthony, and he promptly brought out an ample sample of his work.
Here's the 1-2 from Russell. And a high drive to deep right center. Welcome to the big leagues, Eric Anthony.
The very first major league hit for the rookie, who had been tearing up the Double-A Southern League with 28 homers. Anthony brings a powerful left-handed bat to the Astros, who figure they've got enough staying power to stay put in the race. Time now for this week's quiz, brought to you by today's Chevy truck. Craig Biggio has collected 15 straight steals. Now, can you name the catcher with the most steals in a season?
I look at it this way. As an athlete, and especially as a Christian athlete, I'm to be as intense, aggressive, into the game as much as I can, because for me, my purpose when I walk between the lines is to glorify God. So for me to lay over and just say, hey, look, you know, this is over with. This is too severe an injury. You know, it's going to threaten my career, and why even go through it? I wasn't going to take that attitude or approach at all.
At no time in his career have Dave Draveki's religious convictions been more needed. A chronic problem in his pitching shoulder turned out to be a cancerous tumor. It was removed, along with 50% of the damaged muscle, and since the surgery last October, he's been striving mightily to make the long haul back.
First off, when this happens to somebody, is your family, your friends, you say, well, hopefully he'll be healthy and he'll live a normal life. But this guy's not only normal, in fact, I told him the other day, I said, I think the big guy upstairs gave you a new arm because he was throwing the ball extremely well. He's come a long ways and he'll make it back.
By most all accounts, Dravecki was one of the league's most talented left-handers. Traded from San Diego to the Giants 2 years ago, he helped win the division, capping off the season with 2 brilliant performances in the playoffs. Best of all, a 2-hit shutout.
The greatest thrill was being in a Giants uniform in the playoffs in 1987 and pitching the 2-hit ball game against the St. Louis Cardinals on that day. You know, it was like the fall classic. And it was just a tremendous thrill for me to be able to participate in a game where there was such good baseball played, and for the outcome to be as it was, and to look back on that had to be the greatest moment as far as pitching in the major leagues.
Even though the surgery was a success, Dravecki's doctors felt he wouldn't pitch again. And for a time, he had to face that prospect.
I reflect back and I think of the last game of the World Series. I was watching Orel Hershiser pitch, and the final pitch was thrown. And, you know, for that brief moment, he took time to give thanks to the Lord. And then at that point, I was probably at my most vulnerable point in saying that, you know, I may never do that again.
To restore his arm, Dravecki has been pitching in the minors. And though he's not full strength yet, it looks as though he'll get back sooner than later.
I feel that he has enough heart inside, the toughness, and to make it back. And he's a great inspiration to a lot of people. I'll tell you, it's a wonderful thing. And right now, the way he's throwing, there's, in my mind, there's no doubt about it that he's going to pitch again, and it won't be that far in the future.
So, at the age of 34, life begins all over again for Dave Dravecky. Now to Kansas City for a gathering of old pros. Barnstorming at Royal Stadium, the equitable old-timers paid tribute to heroes of the Negro League, many of whom played here for the famed Kansas City Monarchs. At the gravesite of Negro League legend Satchel Paige, who died in 1982, teammates and family members gathered to unveil a monument in his honor.
I wanted something that would be, for better choice of words, elegant, but reflect some of his history, some of his accomplishments, and give a person in brief a little capsule of what Leroy Satchel Paige was about.
Famed as much for his homespun wit as his fastball, Satchel Paige was a folk hero to those who followed his barnstorming exploits. The great Satch once said, "There's never a man on earth who ever pitched as much as me."
I caught Satchel Paige for about 5 years, and your father was the epitome of what baseball is all about. He was the Babe Ruth of Negro Major League Baseball. He saved the franchises. When teams got in trouble, they called on Satchel Paige to come to that city to pitch, and they packed the stands. So I know you're proud. You look just like your daddy. You look just like it.
He was the unseen Hamlet. People would always say, there is a man in the Negro Leagues who pitches better than anybody. And Dizzy Dean would say things like, I've pitched against him, and there ain't nobody like Satchel Paige. But none of us in the white middle class ever got to see this legend, and it kept growing, that there was this man who could do anything with a baseball. And finally, he appeared at the last minute and showed us what it was that he could do, and it turned out it was all true.
You know, by the time Paige was admitted to the major leagues in 1948, he was past 40, but he could still get them out. He went 6-1 to help Cleveland win a pennant. In all, he spent 5 years in the majors, the last in 1965, when he came out of retirement to pitch for the Kansas City A's. In 1971, as the first of the Negro League stars to be enshrined, Paige was elected to the Hall of Fame.
I'm very happy and honored that my paths were crossed by having to manage Satchel Paige in my baseball career, because he was great for the game of baseball and great for his race. And he was a tremendous man along with his pitching ability.
Good old Satch. And now, the answer to this week's quiz, brought to you by today's Chevy truck. In 1982, John Walton stole more bases than any catcher in one season, 36. When last we came upon this scene, major leaguers with aluminum bats, really, we were playing an April Fool's joke in which we announced the extinction of the wooden bat and the arrival of the aluminum one. But now, Sports Illustrated, in a recent issue, declared it's no joke. For economic reasons, the wooden bat may indeed be doomed. That prospect has brought cries of foul all the way from Capitol Hill.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to condemn the desecration of a great American symbol. No, I'm not referring to flag burning. I'm referring to the baseball bat. Several experts tell us that the wooden baseball bat is doomed to extinction, that Major League Baseball players will soon be standing at home plate with aluminum bats in their hands. Baseball fans have been forced to endure countless indignities by those who just can't leave well enough alone. Designated hitters, plastic grass, uniforms that look like pajamas, chicken clowns dancing on the baselines, and of course the most heinous sacrilege, lights in Wrigley Field. But are we willing to hear the crack of the bat replaced by a dinky ping? What's next? Teflon baseballs? Radar-enhanced gloves, I ask you? And I don't want to hear about saving trees. Any tree in America would gladly give its life for the glory of a day at home plate. I don't know if it will take a constitutional amendment to keep the baseball traditions alive, but if we forsake the great Americana of broken bat singles and pine tar, we will have certainly lost our way as a nation.
Well, while wooden bats spark passion in some, elusive baseballs create confusion in others. Just keep your eye on the ball.
Well hit to right field, and this ball is off the boards or out of here. It's stuck in the fence. It's stuck in the fence. Hubie Brooks went up. It did not look like it went over the fence. It is jarred in the padding.
How about that?
There it is.
How about that? Well, how about Toronto's Junior Felix? He gave his all at the Yankee Stadium wall and ended up with a separated shoulder. And get this, his replacement, Tom Lawless, almost did the same thing, only his shoulder stayed intact. Hey, what's this? Anti-ball repellent? A little dab will do you? What you fellas need is a can of cement. You know, to stick ball to glove. Be warned, my unsuspecting friends, a real heart stopper is about to grab you.
It winds up being a base-clearing triple that even no close plays on it. Forget it. That's it. Where's the laundryman?
Well, wipe clean that scene and get with crackling defense that brings no relief. First up, Baltimore's Billy Ripken. Hey. Paul Molitor, Brewers. Pittsburgh's Jose Lean. Cal Daniels, Dodgers. Chet Lemon, Detroit. The Cubs, Sean Dunston. Montreal's Damaso Garcia to Hubie Brooks. The Pirates, Barry Bonds. Pat Borders, Blue Jays. The Braves, Oddibe McDowell. Kelly Gruber, Toronto. The Padres, Roberto Alomar. Houston's Mark Davidson. Milwaukee's Rob Deere. Baltimore's Craig Worthington. Milwaukee's Mike Felder. And the Twins' Kirby Puckett. Time now to open the notebook for This Week in Baseball's Twib Notes from around the majors. The Cardinals' Vince Coleman had his record streak of 50 straight steals on the line.
He's running, and not much of a jump. He is out at second base. That Major League record streak is over.
Next night against the Expos, Coleman was about to take off, but this time he was caught in an act of a different kind.
It gets away. Now hold everything. Called out. Coleman is called out at first base.
Look again, folks. Coleman tried to knock the ball loose with a swipe of the hand. And that, Vincent Van Gogh, is a rule book no-no. This was no smile of joy on Bobby Bonilla's face. He had 2 errors in the game when Tim Wallach came to bat. A bad omen, because so far this season, he had made 5 errors on balls hit by Wallach. Well, folks, you guessed it. And now 26 errors in all. And erased the tie score because Nelson Santavina followed with a homer. The first of 2 straight game winners as he helped keep the Expos in first place. In Philadelphia, some old pals turned out to pay tribute to recently retired 329 game winner Steve Carlton. In a night in Lefty's honor, more than 47,000 watched the unveiling of number 32, and in a rare moment, heard from the man himself.
Words always seem to fall short of how an athlete really feels. Long after these words are forgotten, I'll have the memory in my mind, in my heart, forever. In Philadelphia, baseball is a field of dreams, and this surely is heaven down here. It's been wonderful. Thank you.
Time now for our Player of the Week, brought to you by Gatorade Thirst Quencher. Kevin McReynolds helped get the pulse of the Mets going again. In a good old-fashioned blowout against St. Louis, he doubled, homered, and singled, and then upped the score to 11-0 with a triple. And with that, McReynolds hit for the cycle. He also drove in 6 runs as the Mets ended a 7-game losing streak. Next week, we're going to meet Fred McGriff, Toronto's big but little-known powerhouse, the league's leading home run hitter, off on a second straight 30-home-run season. That's all for now, folks. See you next week on This Week in Baseball.
The Tigers take on the White Sox. Don't miss the action tomorrow starting at 2. And find out how Coach Wayne Fonts plans to get the Lions back on the winning track tomorrow night at 11:30 on Sports Final Edition. Now catch all the plays as the Houston Astros go up against the San Francisco Giants next on the NBC Game of the Week, only on Channel 4.